Welcome back to the video lecture series for Introduction to the Art of Programming using Scala. We've been looking at sorts. We've seen how to write 3 different sorts, how to test them, and how to visualize them. In this video, I want to talk about how to sort something different than what we've been sorting so far. So far we have exclusively been sorting doubles. And we can go and we can look at the code that we've written previously. And so if we go past the tests, our bubble sort, our min sort, and our insertion sort were all written to sort array of double. Okay. There's more to the world than double. Double was handy for doing our visualization. It also is really nice in the sense that I can very easily generate a whole bunch of random doubles, but there are going to be times when you need to sort other things. Now, given what we know right now, the way that we would do this is actually to make a copy and have it so it sorts something else. Hopefully at this point you've learned enough to have it so that feels bad, okay, that you don't want to do that. You should realize that copying code and making a small change really is not a good way to go about things. It has all types of problems associated with it. We'll come back and we'll redress this problem in chapter 19, where we will figure out how we can write a single sort to, one sort to rule them all, a single sort that will sort anything that we want it to. But for now, we're going to deal with the making copies of things. So instead of doubles, what if I said I wanted to sort ints? Okay, so I pass in an array of ints. Is there anything else that has to change? Well, this loop just deals with the length of the array. Right here we have a comparison between 2 elements, but doing a greater than, that works on ints just as well as it works on doubles. The swapping code works on ints just as well as it does on doubles. And so if I save this and I run it, now of course it's still running the code with the doubles and doing the verification, but this compiled. And this is perfectly fine, and it turns out this would work just as well. What about for strings? So if instead of sorting ints I wanted to sort strings, same thing goes, because an array of strings has lengths to it and the greater than works on string. In fact, as long as the thing that we're sorting has a greater than, our bubble sort will work just fine. Our min sort used a less than, but the same general rule applies. As long as you have the comparison, either a less than or a greater than, you can sort things. And the only thing that you had to change in the Scala version of this code is the type that you pass in. Now, not everything has a less than and a greater than, and in particular, there are things that we will want to sort that are lacking it, and that is if we write case classes. So, for example, if I had a case class that represents a student, and so my students have a name, which is a string, and I'll just be real simple here and say they have a grade, which is an int. If I switch this to be a student, this no longer works. And it has a problem on line 40, and it's exactly what we were talking about. There is no greater than on a case class. And in some ways this makes sense, because given this case class, I might actually want to sort my students in different ways. I might want to sort them alphabetically by their name, but I might also want to sort them based upon their grade, okay? And it depends upon what I'm doing with it. This sort, we're going to have to modify it to do one or the other. And so if I wanted to sort by names, I pull out the names from them. And so now this would be a sort that I can pass in an array of students, and it will alphabetize them by their names. Had I wanted to sort them by grades, I would need a different version where this does a comparison between grades. If I wanted to sort them by grades in descending order instead of ascending order, I could switch this greater than to a less than, and our bubble sort would actually sort them in the opposite order. So hopefully you can see from this, sorting case classes really isn't that hard, but it does require more of a modification in that every place that we do a comparison, and in these sorts we're only doing one comparison, one location with a comparison inside of the inner loop, but that has to be changed so that it does a comparison between the proper contents of the case class. And so being able to do this, you can reorder things nicely And doing this on a case class makes it much easier than technically it would be possible. Instead of having an array of student, you could have an array called name that's an array of strings, an array called grades that's an array of ints. But then when you want to sort them, it's very hard to sort both of them at the same time, or that requires significant modification of your sort routine. This is one of those places where having the case class, you could also do it with a tuple, makes your life much better. So that's it for this video. You should probably run off and go find some case classes of things that you want to sort and practice with doing this. You can use it to answer some interesting questions. So we'll come back in the next videos and we'll start looking at searching.